This evening was a really beautiful one. I've been at this space called Womb that is being offered by this incredible human being from San Francisco. Her name is Jui. And in the process of learning how to accompany this space with music and art and all things creative that I love to do, I've discovered a lot of things about myself and met a lot of incredible people. One person that I met her on New Year's this past year, and she's a music producer, a movie producer from France, and an energy healer and connected in a lot of beautiful ways to herself and her ability to help others. In this program tonight, Let's Chat is more of a free form, though most of the recording I do live is free form. This really doesn't have much of a script other than I'm going to pull some angel cards most likely and talk about the most recent events that are happening in my life that I want you to be abreast of. For the sake of opening dialogue and just telling you more about me. So this individual had sent me a message spontaneously today and asked if we could play some music. And of course, I said yes and went to Womb. So by the time that we met and she was there and we got settled in with my guitar being tuned and ready to play, it was probably 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, and there was the starting of the magic hour to where the sun would set. And we played some songs and worked on some harmonies. And it wasn't so much like, okay, now do this and do that. No, it's just free form. When you're playing music with someone who's musically inclined, they have the ability to just jump in. It's the idea that I talk about all the time when it comes to human emotions and our understanding of our own astrological signs and the ruling planets, that when you understand the way that things flow energetically, you can step into any conversation and pretty much any situation and find a way to bring harmony to that situation for yourself and others. And so I played some songs and we were activating some energy in the house through some specific word sequences, which I'm sure at some point I'll go through. It more skirts the area of spell work, and there are specific sounds that can serve as the seed to manifesting things in your life. And when we started to really get into the meditation of song and singing and resonating, there was this point where the sun started to go down, and I started singing lyrics that were first in English and then in Spanish. And as the sun went down all the way, we played a song for about an hour. It was an hour of recording, which had an entire sequence of energy occur. From beginning to end, we're talking sun to seed, and it was sun to fruit, rather, to seed again. It was beautiful. And it's one of those things where if you allow yourself the opportunity to be spontaneous, if you permit yourself to step outside of your own comfort zones, which, as we said before, aren't necessarily healthy. They don't have to be healthy in order to be a comfort zone. It's this type of thing that unlocks the ability to bring synchronistic events. And I talk a lot about synchronicity, and I haven't defined it much, so let's talk. Let's chat. Synchronicity. It's a term that Carl Jung had coined, and it has to do with events seemingly being linked and not arbitrarily sequenced. In other words, there's a chord that exists within these experiences, and they just ride together. And the synchronicity is more apt to happen, I believe, when we are acting through the spontaneous self. And what's really interesting, and I'll mention this in terms of mystical experiences, I've had quite a bit in my life. I've had many. And I'm grateful for all of them. I'm not saying this to boast. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because for some reason they happened to me in my life, and I'm grateful that they have. Especially the moments that have taught me lessons that I apply every day. I'm grateful. On New Year's Eve, when I first played music at Womb, the first time I played guitar, I resonated this music and it was reverberating through the beautiful halls of this temple. I'm telling you, it is a temple. It's a home, but it's also a temple. And one of the women that was staying there, one of Jui's very good friends, she called down for me and it's like, Will, can you come up and check on something, please? And I was like, okay. So I went upstairs, and in the master bath, there was water all over the floor, just all over. We're talking like 2 to 3 inches of water all over the place. And I'm like, okay, shut off the water valve immediately, make sure that more damage doesn't occur. And I just mopped it up over time, put it in the tub and let it drain out, and dried it with towels. And I asked Jui to come in and look on the right-hand side while I was looking on the left, opening the valve again. No leak. No water coming through. And there weren't any apparent areas where the caulk hadn't sealed the toilet. Yet there was all this water. And so began the questioning of how long has it been since someone's used the bathroom? And the answer was, well, several hours went by, but there hasn't been a leak ever since. And my thought was, it very well could have been a manifestation, and I would say a beautiful one. The house was happy, crying these beautiful tears, and I was going up and wiping them. And I have imagined this space being jam-packed with people that come in to heal, that come in to receive some sort of knowledge and renewed ability. And I say renewed because everyone comes with the ability to do miracles, but the renewed ability to manifest in their own happiness and find goodness in their lives. And so it was just wonderful to be there and play music for really, it seemed like, I think it was 2 hours, and it went by like in a flash. And the sun was down, packed my things, got on my way, and went back and came back here and thought a lot about the things that are in motion right now. And they're largely in motion because of someone in my life, or that was in my life. I haven't had communication with her for a while consistently. And I accept all of those things because you get to the point where you, as a guy, you just have to accept, or if you're me, you just kind of have to accept things and treat them as signs and say, okay, what's the next best thing I can do for myself and for others? And, try to create and manifest as much as you can. So several weeks ago, I had applied to Airbnb experiences for the sake of generating income. And I received this beautiful call. I had a beautiful phone call conversation with the representative in Los Angeles this week, who gave me a lot of tips for optimizing my experience so that I can attract people to do what I want to do. And just so you know, it's airbnb.com/loveletters MX for Mexico. So Love Letters MX. And I'm very excited to be offering this. What I'm going to be doing, and what I've started to do, actually, as of today, is offer letter writing, romantic letters, beautiful letters of union between people. After listening to their stories and offering them a dessert, listen to their stories and type them a beautiful typewritten letter on Southworth parchment that will last hundreds of years, that they can take home with them. They can take with them as a souvenir. And I'm calling it Love Letters in Coyoacan. And I'm just so excited that I have this ability to do it, with the typewriters being here and with me having become fascinated with typewriters, finding an outlet that's working. And finally, looking for the opportunity to be able to write and make something of it, serve people at the same time. At the same time, I'm working as a social worker, talking with the individuals, maybe reminding them of something that they haven't said to each other in a long time. Put it in the letter, give it to them. It's now timeless. They take it with them, and it's a beautiful experience. And I get to do this in my backyard, because I live in Coyoacan. So anyone who's planning on coming to Mexico City, or anyone that's coming to the area to visit Frida Kahlo's home, come and get a letter that you'll never forget. I'll do it for you on the spot. I do it for you on the spot. And if you want to write your own, the typewriters are there. Got a lot of options to choose from. So there comes a time where an individual who's been through difficulty and maybe felt loss in a specific way needs to recuperate that. And it frees up the space for manifestation. And all the signs are pointing in the right direction of me being in the ocean, being at the ocean, and being in the ocean in a very short period of time. You're going to see me broadcasting live from the ocean very soon. All the signs are pointing there. That's where I need to be. And it's going to happen fast and after the fact that I can be a provider in the way that I imagine being a provider for my family, because things are in motion. And I've been waiting and asking and wondering, and they finally are. So it's something to be proud of. It's something to be thankful for. And it's something to celebrate. So I'm having a little mezcal tonight, just a little. And I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating and I'm happy. You know, Friday nights are normally reserved for, I don't know, in the past for couples, but I'm here with you. You are my friend. If you're watching, you're in my room, you're in my house, you're with me. It's an intimate thing. I don't think many people think about that. We're live, you're here, we're having a conversation where you're being a wonderful listener. If you're watching, you're being a wonderful listener. And you should be proud of yourself for being that. You should be proud of yourself for being present with another person. And to know that I'm sending my reciprocation and my gratitude to you. Anyone who watches this, you deserve all the best. You deserve greatness. And there should be no guilt. No guilt in your life. There's no need to have space reserved for that. Whatever space exists, use it for the manifestation of your dreams. Think about those things. Imagine them with detail. You know, when I imagine being on the beach, I can tell you exactly where I am. It'd be nice to have someone I love next to me, but if I have to be alone, that's fine. I can see myself in the British Virgin Islands. I know exactly where the beach is. I know exactly how remote it is. And I know exactly how peaceful it is. And I know how many colors you'll see in the water. I see in the water when I look at the specific laguna where there's all these beautiful tropical fish. And I know exactly where I need to walk to get the most delicious pina colada in the world. I know exactly where I need to walk to in order to have the most delicious food on the island. I know exactly where I need to walk to and climb to observe the sunrise on this beautiful boulder. And I remember what that water feels like when it rolls in so warm like bath water and just kind of caresses the body. I know what it all feels like, and I'm there. And it's happening. You're going to see it. You're going to see me there. We're going to celebrate together. That's a promise. And then I see some more time in the States. I see my kids being with me in the States, going to some really amazing places. I see reunion with my parents and them seeing my children after a long period of time. And I just see all the smiles. And it's because I've been able to convince myself that I'm of value and that I can do something with what I love and believe in. No matter how many people have just not had any interest in reading what I have to write, I know deep down, like I know the music I played tonight heals. I know deep down that my writing is something worth offering, something that people enjoy and will enjoy in the future, because I'm just right in my infancy with writing. I've been playing music for over 20 years. There should be something pleasant about it. But as far as writing goes, I'm less than 3 years in. And I can imagine myself at the end of this year having a number of books published. And it's not to brag, it's simply because I've found my calling. And when you find your calling, you should tell the world about it, and you should show them what you're doing. So take a look at what I'm doing. Go over to williamvincentcarlton.com. You'll see some of these videos, but you'll also read some things that I've written. And as the books get released after editing, you'll have a chance to read them. And that's the big hurdle for this year is editing. I've asked so many people to edit for me. It's just publishing needs to happen in order for you to be hooked up with a really amazing editor, or someone's just got to be really loving and kind to be able to read through everything that gets created, because it's a lot, it accumulates. And if you know the person, it's difficult too. So it's something that I'm going to have to face on my own, is this idea of editing, I'm sure. But I'm just saying all these things. As a writer, it's the same thing with songs. I've written songs in 15 minutes and thought, okay, it's done. I'm not going to touch it. Even though I know it can be refined, even though I know the little tweaks can happen, little adjustments here and there to make the song that much more enjoyable, those little diamond moments. And the same thing happens with every single paragraph that you write. But it requires the time to go through that. We're talking about, years of songs being written that need to be reworked. They come out in a beautiful raw state, but they need to be reworked. So I imagine myself going through that process this year. And I'll be posting some videos on it too. I actually wrote a book, Art and Sinners, that I pulled from publishing because I wasn't happy with it. But I came back to reading it 2 months later, and I thought, oh, this really isn't that bad. And it was all written live. And the woman that's not talking to me, I miss you. If you're watching, I miss you, told me that this book is a new style of writing, because I had written it live on Twitch from start to finish, plus editing, and that we have audiobooks, but this is a video book. It's a visual book. You're watching it be written as time goes, and this timeline is just me typing on Scrivener on the other end and live streaming. It's fairly unique, and you can see a book be written from start to finish in all of its rawness, and it's impressive. So I think, I haven't seen anybody else do it. Somebody else is doing it. I'll still say it's impressive, because it is, So that's something that shows the editing process. I'll be posting it on YouTube, giving people access to it. And I have some pages on the typewriter as well for another book called The Immortal Typist. Yeah. So I'll be posting some of that. Cheers, by the way. It's Friday. You got to do that with mezcal. You got to get it into the mouth, because it's not something you're going to do a shot of. If you are, it's really not worth it. It's a medicinal drink, and it is something that, this is what, less than an ounce, much less. It's a matter of just enjoying the aromas and taking it in, because it's really curative. It comes from the agave plant, and this particular agave is white agave from Guerrero, and it's very, very small production, wild plant, which is cooked. First of all, it's grown for 15 years in the earth. Okay. So it's grown for 15 years, and then it's harvested, and then it's cooked in an earth oven with special woods to impart specific flavors. That is then mashed and broken down so that the liquid comes out, the smoked liquid. That liquid ferments naturally in open air. And then that ferment gets distilled twice. And that distillate has to be blended in the right way for flavor and for safety, because you have 3 different components of a distillate. You have the heads, the tails, and the hearts. So the 3 pieces. The hearts are the softest, most delicious part and the safe part. If you're mixing heads and tails, you have to be careful. You talk about people drinking moonshine and going blind. It's that idea. If you're drinking all the most dangerous parts of the distillate, you have to be really, really careful. So it's a blending process, because also the heads and tails impart specific flavors to the distillate. So it's an art of blending. And, you get all of that into your glass, and it's worth appreciating. There are people that won't pay for this in Mexico because of the price, and it's just unbelievably sad. Yet those same individuals will buy an Apple computer for $2,000 when the components cost $100 to assemble in China. So to each their own, I say. When I look at this beautiful distillate, I think about the process. I think about how this was passed on from generation to generation. I think about how this supports a community, and I support it. I support it because it's a spiritual plant that's found in the wild, and it's preserved, and it preserves Mexican culture. So that's that. That's that on Mezcal. Let's pull some angel cards while we're at it. Let's go over here and let's chat. I'm going to put down the mic for a second. We're going to draw some cards. So if you hear me knock, that's because I'm clearing the cards from the top down. I'm going to open up the cards and look at them now. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Show you what I'm doing so that you believe this is authentic. Authentic me. I am going to look at all these cards because there is no cheating. Regardless of what the card is, we're going to have to follow the guidance. So, all right. I'm going to open these up and look at them. I'm going to ask for the highest good, for this to serve the highest good of everyone involved. Okay? All right. Here we go. So I suggest if you have a question while I'm drawing this card, just think the question in your mind, and it likely will be synchronistic. It'll align with whatever question you have in your mind. So let's do this. Here we go. I'm just going to ask for daily advice. The advice for us, what do we need to do right now? And we'll focus on the card. Okay? If I start to see images and things, I might choose 3. It depends on how it goes. We'll see how it goes now. I'm not a good shuffler either, so don't give me a hard time. This one on top was interesting. I'm seeing like an atom bomb, like a nuclear bomb going off. I think it's the first time. I think it's because of the mezcal. We'll see. Let's check this one out and see what it's all about. So I suppose if there were to be a card that is a nuclear bomb within this deck, it is Let Your Past Go. You know. So let's dive in. Let's dive in. This is the answer to your question, folks. If you're asking a question as I instructed you to do, the answer is let your past go. I'm going to illustrate this for you right now, so you can listen to my deep relaxation, spiritual voice for this Friday evening. Let your past go. The burden of carting your past around has made you weary, dear one. That sounds so Star Wars. Anyway, it's time to set this burden down. Keep only the lessons and the love and leave everything else behind. You don't want it or need it, and now it's gone. Gone, gone, gone. Doesn't matter if you want to hold on to your past, it's gone. Now your ego's fighting me. It's okay, let your ego fight me. Wouldn't be the first time. You received this card because your thoughts and feelings about the past are holding you back. You are repeating a pattern because of unfinished emotions from your past. This card is a sign to forgive and move on and to stop painful patterns. It doesn't mean that you need to be with the person you've forgiven. It simply means that you've let toxic feelings go in exchange for peace. Additional meanings. Approach a new situation or relationship with positive expectations. Avoid routines. That's big. I talked about that yesterday. Speak to a counselor or support group. Couldn't be more in agreement with that. Forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive yourself. Remember what I said yesterday about the individual that was left hanging? They're going to ask the question, listen, it's not a matter of whether or not I can deal with what's happened to me in the past, because I already have. It's a matter of whether or not you can deal with what you've done in the past. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. For the one fragment inside you that's perfect, forgive yourself. The worst is now behind you, I'm telling you. It's behind you. Keep your thoughts about this situation high and bright. Can't make this stuff up. Last night, or whenever I did the last card, it was relationship, man. It was awesome. Everyone want another card? Here's where we get to have fun. We're going to put Let Your Past Go back into the deck. Because if the angels say that's the end-all, be-all of all suggestions this evening, it's going to repeat. So I'm not a magician. I'm a synchronistic shician. Here we go. Let's see what happens. I don't care if you're not all happy with my shuffling. It's done. I'm going to start picking a card now. Okay, now I'm getting a nice, it's the triangle, Persinski triangle. I'm seeing that right here. Fractals. It's a good one. It's powerful mezcal. Okay, let's see what this card is right here on the top. Okay, so if you were asking a question, the angels have said, listen, dude, be honest with yourself. Okay? Be honest with yourself. It's like the angels are just saying, hey, no, you didn't like the idea that we said let your past go, so now you better be honest with yourself for pulling another card. We're not going to put up with this. Look into your heart, and you will know the truth of the situation. It's safe to admit the truth to yourself, for we will support and guide you through any necessary changes. Lean upon us for courage and the strength to take good care of yourself. Focus only upon your true desires, and they'll come to you upon angels' wings. You've received this card as a gentle confrontation, like I told you, because the angels know you've been hiding from your true feelings. You've probably been afraid that if you admitted how you honestly felt, we talked about honesty yesterday. If you admitted how you honestly felt, you'd be overwhelmed with the feelings and faced with making some necessary changes that you feel unprepared for, right? Yet, the angels assure you that it's healthiest to face the situation with honesty. Can't make this up. We talked about this yesterday. This is how the angels work, and this is what synchronicity is all about. It starts to skirt the mystic, this mystic life. The angels assure you that it's healthiest to face the situation with honesty. They will help you with your emotions, relationships, and any support you need to make positive changes. However, the angels remind you to focus only upon your desires and not upon your fears, so that you can attract the former and not the latter. Additional meanings. The situation will improve when you face it squarely. You deserve better. Trust your own feelings, even if others don't agree. That's big. Don't give away your power to others. Avoid getting caught up in the illusion that, quote, this is the way it is. Avoid it. So you see how the angels work now. Shall we go for a third, in case you're not convinced? I think so. Here we go. And when I'm trying to shuffle and it doesn't let the cards go in, I just throw them to the bottom because I'm not going to fight this deck after what it's done for us tonight. So I'm going to keep going here. This is shuffling. And I'm asking for this advice to serve the highest good of everyone involved. Everyone watching, everyone listening, everyone who tunes in for the sake of healing. This gave me nothing, so I'm going to keep going. This one's interesting. What do we got? This one I've got a bow and arrow facing straight up. And I see a halo. Okay, let's check it out. It may seem simple, but fresh air is actually pretty powerful. Let's talk about it. Fresh air. How do I explain the bow and arrow firing into the sky? I don't know. The halo, I have no idea. Your body needs refreshment from oxygenated air generated by grass, trees, plants, and flowers. Spend time outside, as near to Mother Nature's cradle as possible. Open your curtains and windows to refresh your home as well. The angels sent you this card because you need some fresh air. You've been indoors for far too long, and your body and soul crave oxygen. Open the windows in your home and office. Tear them out. Bear with me. Tear them out. Then go outside and breathe deeply. If you live in the city, make an escape to the country as soon as possible to breathe some much-needed fresh air. I'm going to do that. And me going to the country will be going to the beach. Keep plenty of live plants in your home and office to ensure the steady circulation of oxygen. Additional meanings: exercise outdoors. Get some sunshine or travel to a sunny environment. Yes, please. Spend time around trees or plants. Reconnect with nature. Bring some fresh air into a stale situation or relationship. Interesting. So, what do? You say, thanks, angels. Thank you for the advice. It all resonates. And then you end the stream and you have a great night. Thanks for listening and watching. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Have a great night.